get my paper right. There's no better time.
Legendary Rob, aka Robert E. Woods III. It's so funny that we go by handles now, but it's also kind of cool. So you can kind of make up whatever identity you want. It's just up to you to try to align with it as best you can. But yeah, man, today I just wanted to talk to you about the importance of sticking with it. And when I say sticking with it, I just mean anything where you can truly see yourself creating a life that you enjoy. And I think for me, I often talk about tasting the dream because essentially there's always going to be another dream. Even after you accomplish the first, second, third, seventh, eighth thing, you're always going to come to a point where you want a little bit more and a little bit more. So you're never really satisfied if you truly are a person that's looking to be great and, you know, somebody that you want if you want your family to lean on you. You know, I'm 36 and I'm still in a spot where I know I can't retire my mom yet. And for me, yeah, and I retired my dad. I mean, my dad is still working. He's 74 and he's doing his thing. He's retired, but he's also working, retired from the military, but also working. So he was in for 31 years. And it's dope because he gets nice checks from the VA and from being retired. And part of the reason why he gets those checks is because he's stuck with it for 30 plus years. And I think a lot of us can learn from people like that stick with something for years. I think somebody else that I saw stick with something was or is my guy Story King Brent. He aka Brent Jackson. He has been a DJ for a few years, and after basically making the transition out of the Wall Street life, he decided to be a DJ, and he's probably one of the most successful DJs I've seen. And I think a lot of people have taken a page out of his book lately. I mean, that may just be me, but I can just tell, like, there's a resurgence of cats becoming DJs, which I think is marvelous. And I think sometimes he's a humble dude, but sometimes he might not even notice the fact that people are doing these things after him. It might just be, you know, timing and just, you know, coincidence and things like that. I don't think that's true. But nonetheless, I was speaking to Brent the other day. He told me, I was like, bro, how are you able to stay consistent? Like, this is crazy. Last year you were consistent around this time for sure. But this year, it's a totally different mode that you're in. And he said, man, sometimes I'll go like 2-3 weeks with close to no sleep. So he'll do these sprints where he's working 3 to 4 hours of sleep each night, but cranking out content, you know, being able to get from one place to another on flights, on trains, on, you know, every mode of transportation. This dude makes sure that he's present for all of the obligations that he has And that's the way that he's able to manage his time. And I know a lot of people might say, I need my 8 hours of sleep. But where other people need 8 hours of sleep to be clear headed, successful, or whatever, this guy uses 3 to 4 hours of sleep in order to have the same output or have the same, feeling essentially. So within a week's time, he's actually, he's actually 35 hours ahead. So if he's able to do that twice a month, so let's just say for 2 weeks at a time. No, let's just say, yeah, for 2 weeks at a time, somebody gets 35 hours ahead of you in terms of the content that you're putting out, the content that you're recording, the strategies that you're executing. 35 more hours than the average person. So he's got a week on somebody, and then basically in a 1 month span, he's had 2 to 3 weeks he's 2 to 3 times more productive than the average person. So when you think about how that extrapolates to 12 months, or how it extrapolates over 12 months, that's close to 6 months. He's close to 6 months ahead of you if you're not necessarily producing. So I look at that and I'm just like, damn, okay, I need to step my game up. I think when I got out of the military, I just had all of these hopes and dreams about just making it to New York and grinding and doing every single thing I could in order to get to the next level. And I think for me, a lot of that had to do with basically programs that were already created. So the curriculum, so it's almost like success is predetermined as soon as you get into the educational program or whatever it is, you know that for the next 2 years, you can consider yourself successful because you're going through the steps that are required to do what? To get that degree. If you're going to get to get a cybersecurity certification or a software engineering certification, it's going to be 8 weeks, 6 weeks, 12 weeks. So that success is prescribed in that way. So if your success is prescribed, you're kind of living in your own little box. So when you get out of that educational program, it's really up to you. So for me, I got out of the educational program, but things didn't happen like I thought they were, and I was in a moment where it was just like, can we still get that deal with Rockefeller? Rockefeller. I ended up, like, I realized I had like 3 months of savings ready to go. And there was a deal that would have basically I would have gotten another 3 months of savings from that one deal. And this is for a recruiting job a few years ago. And so at that time, I remember sitting in the parking lot of Walmart in Columbus, Mississippi, where I had just demolished a house, and I was trying to do what I could to do some wholesaling, trying to get the house rebuilt. Because I was trying to get a fourplex done. I'm still gonna do that, but I needed money to do that. So I'm in the Walmart parking lot, getting stuff ready for this other property. And this guy says, the head of the company, he's like, yeah, man, we're not paying you for that. And I'm like, damn. Okay, there are some things that I could have done better in this situation to make sure that I at least got some form of payment. I could have written the contract better. That employee ended up, I think that employee has probably been at that company 4 or 5 years. So, long story short, that just didn't work out, and I stuck with, and I stuck with it. So, what I did was, I stuck with the relationship. That guy and I have a good relationship nowadays. I understood where he was coming from. He was valid for feeling that way, but it was also one of those sharp elbow business moments where I was like, damn, you could have threw your boy a bone. And so, about a couple years after that, he did. He eventually threw me a bone. So I stuck with it, and I was able to get that contract after that, or get some form of revenue after that. But the thing is, I transitioned away from recruiting. So, but I kept it as a skill set that's in my toolbox. I would consider it a skill that's in my toolbox. So when I think of being an executive that is just handy, somebody that knows a lot of things and has seen a lot of different business operational that have seen a lot of businesses navigate different processes in order to grow, in order to scale, and being a part of organizations that have done that. I think it has it's afforded me the opportunity to take a look at what I've been doing and actually incorporate some of those things into my real life. And so I think that's how you essentially are able to stick with something, even though you don't stay on the linear path that's associated with that thing. Another thing that I've been sticking with is just the concept of being a real estate developer. I think there are all forms of real estate development. I currently work in the energy storage sector, and I think it's great. It's great, and I'm learning things every single day. There are so many aspects of energy and electrons and government programs and so many things that I can continue to hone. But because I stuck with real estate development, I was able to at least branch off into a tangential area because I had the core skill of real estate development. So I stuck with it in that regard because my thought process was, hey, I don't really know. If when I got the job, I was like, hey, I don't really know much about energy storage particularly, but I do think it's a great industry. It's going to be a booming industry, and people with those specified skills and that knowledge can and will be impactful, especially in the future as we continue to speak about the importance of the grid and the sustainability of the grid. So I think I could take the skill set and the knowledge to any location in the United States. So I think that's another way I was just able to stick with something, with the understanding that my perspective is what matters the most, because my perspective is rooted in these things that align with my goals, and that's what has allowed me to just